Hi everybody, this is Russell Rucker and I'm here for another Constitutional Talk. If you like my videos, I'd like you to hit the bell. I'd like you to subscribe. I try to do the best I can here to really explain our Constitution and the reason it is how it is. And our founding documents are vitally important. They're important to our way of life. They're important to how we govern ourselves. Government is a necessary evil. Unless we were able to live in peace amongst each other, in which we wouldn't need government, but we do. It's just how it is. Now, today, I'd like to read a little bit about our Bill of Rights. Our Bill of Rights anniversary is coming up, and I thought it would be good to read. This is from my book, Our Founders in Their Words and Why They Matter. And what we have here is an original version of the Bill of Rights as proposed by Madison. Now, Madison was running for a seat in the House of Representatives against James Monroe. And he made a campaign promise that if elected, he would produce a Bill of Rights through the amendment process and get them submitted. See, when the Constitutional Convention ended, and there were a lot of states that weren't happy with what was produced because there was no Bill of Rights, and they were concerned that they were giving up their natural rights with no guarantee in a Bill of Rights. So a lot of complaints came up, and this is what Madison did. He took all these complaints, he put them all together in a Bill of Rights, and he submitted, I think it was 19 of them. I think 17 came out of the House. Now, this is the version that came out of the House. So, and this is from Monday, August 24th, 1789. Congress of the United States in the House of Representatives, Monday, August 24th, 1789, resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, two-thirds of both houses deeming it necessary that the following articles be proposed to the several states as amendments to the Constitution of the United States. All or any of which articles, when ratified by three-fourths of the said legislatures, to be valid to all intended purposes as part of the Constitution. Articles in addition to and amendments of the Constitution of the United States of America proposed by Congress and ratified by the legislatures of the several states pursuant to the 5th article of the original Constitution. Now, Madison also produced a preamble, and this is the original text of the preamble, that all our power is originally vested in and consequently derived from the people, that government is instituted and ought to be exercised for the benefits of the people, which consist in the enjoyment of life, liberty, and the rights of acquiring and using property, and generally of pursuit and obtaining happiness and safety. That the people have an indubitable, unalienable, and indefeasible right to reform or change their government whenever it be found a veritable right to the reform or change their government whenever it found adverse or adequate in the purpose of its institution. This section was meant to be before we the people. So at that point, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and this is how our Constitution would read. Unfortunately, that did not make the light of day. All these articles that I'm about to read were meant to be inserted at different points inside the Constitution, and that didn't pass muster anyway either. And that is why they're now listed as amendments. There's Amendment 1, 2, 3, and so on far. Okay, Article 1. After the first enumeration required by the first article of the Constitution, there shall be one representative for every 30,000 until the number shall amount to 100. after which the proportion shall be regulated by Congress, that there shall not be less than 100 representatives, nor less than one representative for every 40,000 persons, until the number of representatives shall amount to 200, after which the proportion shall be regulated by Congress, and there shall not be less than 200 representatives for every 50,000 persons. Now, this section here is close to the only amendment left of the Bill of Rights that's still out there, and it's a live amendment because no end date was set for it, so it could still be passed. Now, moving on to Article 2, and these are a little different from what you're used to hearing because things had passed the House, but then went to the Senate. Some things were dropped, some were condensed into others. So it is quite different. Article 2, no law varying the compensation to the members of Congress shall take effect until after an election of representatives shall have intervened. And if this reminds you of the 27th Amendment, that's because it pretty much is. Article 3, Congress shall make no law establishing religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, nor shall the rights of conscience be infringed. This is interesting because it's bringing into play a right of consciousness that they think that they should have. Article 4, the freedom of speech and of the press and of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and consult for their common good and to apply to the government for a redress of grievances shall not be infringed. Article 5, a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people, being the best security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, but no one religiously scrupulous of bearing arms shall be compelled to render military service in person. So they can't be forced to take up arms if they're religiously opposed to conflict. And there's always been those certain amount of those people. So it would be a great minority, it would be a small minority, but I mean, that's what they were getting at here. No soldier, this is Article 6, no soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in the matter to be prescribed. Now that sounds a lot like our Article 3, doesn't it? Our Third Amendment. Article 7, the right of the people to secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause or by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Well, it sounds a lot like our Fourth Amendment, doesn't it, folks? Okay. Article 8, no person shall be subject, except in a case of impeachment, to more than one trial or one punishment for the same offense, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without the due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. And that sounds a lot like Article 5, or the Fifth Amendment, excuse me. Article 9, in any criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right of a speedy and public trial, to be informed of the nature and the causes of the accusations, to be confronted from the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. Article 10, the trial of all crimes except in cases of impeachment and in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger shall be an impartial jury of the vicinage which requisite of unanimity for conviction, the right of challenge and other requisite, and no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment by a grand jury. But if a crime be committed in a place in the possession of an enemy or in which an insurrection may prevail, the indictment and trial may by law be authorized in some other place within the same state. Article 11. No appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States shall be allowed where the value in controversy shall not amount to $1,000, nor shall any fact triable by a jury according to the other course of common law be otherwise re-examinable than according to the rules of common law. Article 12. In suits at common law, the right of trial by jury shall be reserved. Article 13. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, no cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Article 14. No state shall infringe the right of trial by jury in criminal cases, nor the right of conscience, nor the freedom of speech, or of the press. Now, some of that is in the First Amendment, and it's just interesting how they go back and they talk about this right of conscience again. Article 15, the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage other rights by the people. This is their natural law or nature's law belief. Article 16, the powers delegated by the Constitution to the government of the United States shall be exercised as therein appropriate, so the legislature shall never exercise the powers vested in the executive or judicial, nor the judicial powers vested in the legislative or executive. So here in Article 16, they're clearly discussing the separation of powers among the three branches. Article 17, the power is not delegated by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively. And then orders that the clerk of this house do carry to the Senate a fair and engrossed copy of the said proposed articles of amendments and desire their concurrence. Of course, when it got over to the Senate, things were changed. Some things were expanded a little bit. Mostly it was condensed and brought together, and some just didn't make the light of day. And it went on. James Madison sat there with a Bill of Rights in hand, trying to defend them and working to get them passed. And as some things didn't go on, he just carried on with the rest. He pretty much bullied everybody to get these passed. See, we're talking about, 1789. And they had just set up the government. They were in the first Congress, and they were busy trying to set up the government they had agreed to in the Constitutional Convention. You had a brand new president by George Washington, our first president, and that's what they were actively doing. So it was kind of a tough order to push this through the House and Senate. But Madison was persistent, and he got it through. This is one of the reasons I've always said that even though I would more agree with the Federalists, the Anti-Federalists did get an important item through, and a lot of people want to dismiss them because they failed in the Constitutional Convention, but they did get us a Bill of Rights, and that's a pretty important thing to remember. And with that, I'd like to see you again on the next Constitution Talk. Have a good day, folks, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.